Senator Sam Lutuinga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's my privilege to stand and speak to the Appropriation Supplementary Estimates Bill. And, Mr. Speaker, as many of the people have spoken already about what this budget provides, it provides opportunity, sir. It provides jobs, 170,000 in the next few years. But, Mr. Speaker, the context under which this budget was produced was really about an economy that, under the last Labor government, was in a state of disrepair. Sir, it was an economy that was contracting on November 2008. It was an economy, sir, that had 4 consecutive years of exports decline, and it was an economy where the biggest show in town was government departments. It was an economy, sir, that was overtaxed. It was an economy that crowded out investment in productive resources. So, sir, the economy that we inherited as a government was in a state of disrepair. But Budget 2009 took some steps to address that economy. It took some steps in the road to recovery. And, sir, it took some steps to rebalance the economy, to improve economic growth and move our focus towards exports and savings. Sir, current forecasts for New Zealand's net external debt and liabilities is about $250 billion by 2014. Yes, sir, that is $250 billion, or $250 billion, and that, sir, is astonishing. Sir, the government finances also face similar types of challenges, and we're spending more than we earn. And any household knows that if you spend more than you earn, you must necessarily borrow, and some, like those across the benches, steal. And we won't steal, and we are reducing our borrowing, sir. And we have produced a budget in 2010 that will progress towards surpluses sooner. So the bottom line, as I've already stated, is to rebalance this lopsided economy to productive businesses, to productive investments in exports. So what does Budget 2010 do? $4.8 million. Well, first, it puts economic growth at the front of our agenda. Its overriding aim, sir, is to tilt the economy towards savings, investments and exports. Secondly, it put together the most comprehensive reform in tax that this country has seen for 25 years. And that reform, sir, is about making this tax system fairer and promoting faster economic growth. Thirdly, sir, it's about the fiscal outlook, where both our Crown debt and budget deficits now are looking better than they did 12 months ago, and certainly better than they did 12 months prior to Budget 2009. And why is this important? Why is this important? Well, I put it to you, Mr. Speaker, that if debt spirals out of control, as it has done in other countries, particularly those in Europe and the United States, if it spirals out of control, it crowds out investment in jobs, investment in opportunities. It also could lead to a downgrade in our credit rating, and increased borrowing, sir, saddles future generations with the spending of today. And, sir, finally, debt impacts businesses. It impacts businesses to the extent that borrowing costs increase, Debt repayments also increase, and we're not able to spend as an economy, as a government, in the areas that are required, like health, like education, and like infrastructure. Finally, sir, this budget is about reprioritising our spending. And it's about allocating new spending, $1.1 billion, and we've moved that to frontline public services. We've moved it to frontline public services where we have more police, nurses, doctors and services that actually serve our communities rather than bureaucrats in Wellington, which were expanded under the last Labor government. Sir, it's about quality spending and infrastructure, and we've put money into ultra-fast broadband, roads. I'm pleased to see State Highway 20 through my electorate of Maunga Kēkē 6 months ahead of schedule. To budget, ahead of schedule, to specification, and yes, sir, we are building the roads of tomorrow. Also, Mr. Speaker, infrastructure spending is in rail. Now, we all know we inherited a train set from the last government. A train set, a bad investment, where they overspent on the purchase price for Kiwi Rail. But, sir, it is about delivering a network, and I am pleased that Onehunga Rail Station in my electorate is about to be opened later this year. Sir, that is about investment, that's about decision making, and it's about making the right investments at the right time. Mr. Speaker, it is about economic growth, and our program now is forecast to deliver real GDP growth of 3.2% in the year to March 2011. That's 3.2%, sir. That compares favourably to the last government, in which 9 years there was less than 1% year-on-year growth by the Labor government. In the most favourable economic conditions, sir, they achieved less than 1% year-on-year growth. That, Mr. Speaker, is appalling. Mr. Speaker, as I travel through my electorate of Maunga Kēkē, from Penrose, from the factories in Penrose to Mount Wellington to Onehunga, right through to Onehunga, and the word out there is that confidence is up. Confidence in this government, and they're glad out in the factories of Onehunga and Penrose that we are addressing some of the harsh policies of the last Labor government. They're pretty happy about the 90-day Probation Act, that they are able to hire people on probation. They're happy about the tax cuts, not just the personal tax cuts, sir, but business tax cuts, something that has not been mentioned in this House with any degree of frequency. 28 cents, sir, 28 cents for the company tax rate is something we can be proud of. And our tax rates, sir, are actually comparably to other countries. We are one of the lowest now tax regimes in the world. So, sir, it is about preparing for future growth. We have invested in infrastructure, but one of the keys, as well as investment in infrastructure, is education. And that is where we are prioritising early childhood education. We are prioritising education, especially in those communities that do not access early childhood education. And I refer to the Pacific communities, where 85% are currently accessing early childhood education. And we'd like to see that number rise to the mainstream numbers of 90s, mid to high 90s. Sir, it is a budget that I support. It's a budget that is being well received by New Zealanders. And I
Sorry to
think
interrupt.